Hello, everyone. How you doing? You're very welcome to this week's League of Ireland chat with myself, Aidan Raftery. And of course, as always, from Athlone Community Radio, we have Robbie Mulvey to take us through all things League of Ireland. Hello, Robbie. How are you? Are you well?
How's it going, Aidan?
Great to have you on board as always. And the League of Ireland season is getting nearer and nearer. So I suppose first of all, with Kerry being the new team, the Kerry League or the Kerry Club being the nearest, the newest team. They're going to be interesting to see what comes up from them. And I suppose from that point of view, Tipperary native Callan Scully is the latest player to be to sign for Kerry FC. A good young player at 21 years of age.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it keeps in line with the age profile that Kerry FC and Billy Dennehy seems to be signing up. They have signed up quite a few of their academy underage players over the last few days. The bulk of the team is made up of former academy players from their under-19 squad. So it does seem to be keeping in line with what the type of player, the age profile. And okay, he's not from Kerry, but he definitely seems to be from around that area. He's not too far away, obviously, from Tipperary, just over the border. So it's a case of, look, they're building depth in each position. He's another young gun that's come in, 21 years of age. He's obviously had experience with playing in goals for in Tipperary, and it's a pretty similar position, although maybe not as many shots coming in from low range. They're usually going over the bar most of the time. He joins the likes of Wayne Guthrie, who's a 27-year-old. He's been with the Austin Stacks GAA club, so another GAA recruit. Obviously, the experience that Wayne will bring in is going to be absolutely massive. Playing at any age with Kerry football there's a huge amount of pressure on. Obviously, he would have been involved with the early minor sides that were successful, that started that successful 5 in a row All-Ireland minor titles there a few years ago. So he would have been maybe in or around that panel, I would have imagined. And having played all the way up, it doesn't matter if it's minor, under 20s, or senior. Pressure comes with the jersey of having a Kerry jersey on you and playing in goals, obviously. So I'm sure they would have kept that in mind if the Kerry management would have kept that in mind as they were looking to sign him up. So, he's probably one of the older players, if not the oldest player in the team that's been signed up. So I would imagine that he's going to bring a lot of experience to that position, and a goalkeeper, having a very experienced goalkeeper behind you, along with a young understudy like Callan Scully, for example, behind him is the absolute perfect blend that you'd want in that position. You've got an experienced player who's been around the block and a young player who's maybe got the chance to work with the experienced player and learn off him. So maybe that was the idea behind bringing those two on board.
That's it. And I suppose really when you look at this Kerry FC team as well, obviously we mentioned the experienced players that they've signed, and also the young players that are coming through the academy that they have there. Do you feel about that they have the mixture right between a good mixture between the young and experienced players, and also with this being their first season in the League of Ireland as well? What formation can you see them going with? And we say tactics wise, how do you see that going?
Well, I'm going to take a first question first. Do I think they have enough experience? I definitely think they have enough young players coming through. And to be honest with you, I think that's, as I said before, I think that's going to be the blueprint on which other teams that are going to be coming into the league over the next few years are going to be looking at and maybe keeping paying a close attention to see if it works. Because as we know, next year there's going to be a second division being developed and brought into play for next season. So, there might be other clubs around the country, like Club Kildare, who only go up to under-19s level, or CK United, who are Carlow Kilkenny. They also go up to the under-19s division, or maybe even the Mayo Schoolboy League. So they'll be keeping a close eye on how this works, and maybe they'll be looking to develop their own blueprint around how they work. Do they have enough experience? No, absolutely not. I think they need to get in maybe a few more experienced players from around the league. You can expect them to be dipping into the Kerry District Football League to get a little bit more experience from that end of things. So you may see them again as the deadline draws nearer. You may see them go for a higher age profile of, you know, the likes of a 27, 28, 29-year-old. We've seen that with the addition of Guthrie there, the 27-year-old that they brought in, Wayne Guthrie, they brought in from the Tralee Dynamos that they brought into the equation there. You may see a few more outfield players of the same profile over the next few days. As to what formation and tactics I would expect them to have, I have to admit I haven't actually seen Kerry FC players quite a bit. Maybe I've seen one or two of their results pop up in the underage results over the last number of years. They've been very impressive. They've been very competitive. I mean, just purely basing my knowledge on what Billy Dennehy was as a striker. He was a very physical striker. He was, you know, very good at holding the ball up, but he also was very good at getting in behind the lines. And if I was to take a guess, I would say you're going to look at a very attacking style, a very attractive style of play. I'm sure they won't be afraid to mix it up either. So you can expect a few long balls mixed in with some very good short range passing. And, you know, you can expect them to be very knowledgeable on in terms of mixing the game up. So don't expect, if I was to guess, I would say don't expect one style of play to fit this team. I would say they'll be very good at mixing it up. Some days they'll play long ball, some days they'll play the game short, and they'll look to get in behind the defense. So if I was to take a guess, I would say mixed style of play.
That's it. And I suppose really recruitment wise as well, as we know that the Kerry League is very strong, but also a very, you know, traditionally from what I know of the another league is the Tipperary League. You know, we see St. Michael's now, they're a hotbed for players coming through in Tipperary. But, you know, traditionally Tipperary North League and other leagues in Tipperary are very strong as well. And so they'd be used to playing at quite a high level, kind of when it comes to, I suppose, amateur level. We say like, I suppose the FAI Junior Cup and things like that. That would be a fairly high level. We say at an amateur level. So, you know, there'll be some good players coming from those two leagues as well. Like we say down the line when you know, from a transfer point of view, or when they want to bring in more experience or more youthful players.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I mean, obviously Cork City have that kind of end of the area locked down in terms of popularity. But, you know, if they were to go looking for players, they could look in the Munster League. I mean, Munster have a very good tradition in terms of junior football. You've got the likes of Rockmount, you've got Tralee Dynamos, you know, you've got the likes of Pike Rovers over in Limerick. So I think they definitely have the opportunity to go looking. I mean, I know they said they wanted to base most of their players from Kerry football, but if you're looking for experienced players, experienced junior players who know the game inside out, and it might be, you know, it might bring in some good leadership into the teams. They could do worse than
Peak Villa.
Yeah, they could do worse than going into those leagues and maybe seeing if there are players who maybe want to test themselves and if they're ambitious enough to kind of play in League of Ireland football. Definitely.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting first season for them, and it's a season I'm looking forward to seeing how they're. I think a lot of any League of Ireland fans will be looking forward to, will be following them and seeing how they're doing. And moving on to the next item then as well is Irish underage cap, new cap. Billy Vance is hoping to prove his worth to top French side Olympique Lyon. Very impressive. He must be a top quality player when he's going to a club like Lyon.
Yeah, I mean, this seems to be something which has been happening over the last few years, which, I mean, is great to see. Although I was starting to think that we were a feeder club for Italian teams over the last couple of years, because we've had so many players go to Italy with the likes of Kevin Zeffi, James Abanqua, obviously Festi Ebuzelli. It's good to see, we'll say, France coming into play as well, and they've decided to take a few. There's a young chap in the Stade Reims side named Glory Nzingo. He's in their underage program. He went over from Bohemians a few years ago, and St. Pat's a few years ago, 2 years ago, in fact, and he's a bit of a pioneer over there as far as Irish football is concerned. But this seems to be, as I said, something that has been happening quite a bit, and it's really good to see. Billy Vance, he was with the Irish under-16 squad about 3 years ago. He was in the Victory Shield squad. He's bounced around a little bit, so he went from St. Pat. He went from Bray Wanderers, Bohemians, UCD. He joined St. Pat's last summer, and he's beginning to get a bit of a reputation, which is fantastic. He's got first-team experience under his belt, which is brilliant. It's great to see France starting to see Ireland as a viable hunting ground for young talent. Although I have to admit, I wish that the Dutch scouts would come over, because I think we're starting to be develop along the lines of Dutch football as opposed to French and Italian football. But it is good to see, French sides coming over and taking a look. And I think if just one of these players is a success over there, then potentially it might open the door for more players to follow suit.
That's it, because I mean, you were just saying the interest from Italian clubs for Irish players, and also French and Italian clubs looking for Irish players. It's kind of the same as the interest that I suppose English clubs used to have before the Premier League was founded. As in, there used to be, before the Premier League came along, there used to be a lot of Irish players in the old Division 1, but then the Premier Division came along, and there was a lot more players coming from the likes of France, Italy, Spain, all these teams, even Brazil and things like that. And it made it very hard then for our, less and less players then from Ireland were going over to England, because, managers, for whatever reason, they were going for the more, the Spanish players or the Argentinian players or whatever, that which kind of, but it's nice to see that Italian and French clubs are going in, and they're top quality leagues, and it's that's where these players will really develop well, and hopefully, as a part of that, maybe become a part of the Republic of Ireland squad as well in future games, because I think we need players like that coming from leagues like that, playing for Italian leagues or French leagues. That would really improve the quality of the squad compared to the Ireland squad we have now.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a conversation that we can have another day. We don't have time to get into, but it's sort of a wider conversation to have. But I think it's not a case of Ireland. It's not a case of, the French and the Italians and whatever scouts coming to take a look at our Irish football. I think it's a case of, he said that back in the day it was a lot easier for Irish players to kind of get into first team clubs, and that was the case. But when the Premiership did come along, and when they started using their scouts to go to places like Africa and South America and Spain and all the other places, Irish football just didn't adapt to that. We just didn't adapt to the fact that we kind of just stood still and say we're okay. We've got the English clubs, and the English clubs pretty much said, well, yeah, you've got us, but we're going to go with these guys instead. Yeah. So, I mean, we're kind of late to the game in that respect. And I think what Brexit has kind of done is it's forced us to adapt our game and to kind of maybe think outside the box a little bit. And we're starting to see the fringe benefits of that. As I said, Italian clubs are now looking at us. It's basically forcing players to stay in Ireland for a couple of years longer than they would have done previously. And I think that extra 2 years of maturity, plus, the potential game time that you get in the League of Ireland, has really given Irish players a leg up when they do go over. So when they go over, for example, if you have signed a professional football contract with the likes of Bohemians, St. Pat's, Shamrock Rovers, you don't have to worry about getting a contract because you're already a professional football player and you go straight into the under-21 side. Plus, you've got that first-team experience behind you. So I think, look, it's fantastic that players are being looked at from the continent. And with the growing reputation, hopefully it'll help to grow the reputation of Irish football. And, it just shows the advancement of the technical ability of Irish players that were now being considered by countries like France and like Italy as well.
That's it. And it's got, what I was kind of getting at as well there was, when these young Irish players go over to Italy, they'll develop further with the first team and underage team or whatever over there, and they'll be exposed to a higher level or a higher quality of football or a higher standard of football, and that they'll be better players for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, if they go over there, even if they don't make the grade over there, I think the fact is, we've seen Kevin Zeffy, for example, and he's a massive talent, a massive Irish talent, and the fact that that he got noticed by a club by Inter Milan is absolutely fantastic. But again, for me personally, and it's just my own personal opinion, while it's great to see them go over to Italy, Italy doesn't exactly have a reputation for giving young players a chance. Particularly Inter Milan, they tend to like the older, more experienced players. So, with that in mind, personally, I would have preferred had they gone over to Holland, who have they have a huge reputation for developing young players and giving them an opportunity at an early age. But having said that, look, if one of them manages to make the breakthrough, I think that will hopefully that will hopefully give people a chance, or give people the encouragement to go over there and try their hand. I think we've seen with the likes of, for example, today in England, Mark O'Mahony, who's we spoke about before. He's a really good, huge prospect in Irish football terms. He's just been signed up by Brighton, and the fact that we've seen Evan Ferguson and Andrew Moore and get an opportunity in the Brighton team means that players will look at Brighton and think, yeah, they have a chance there. So really all it takes is one player to make the breakthrough to encourage other players to go over there and kind of take that chance, which is and they are taking a big chance if they go over there. They're taking a chance if they go anywhere, but if you're brave enough and you believe in your ability enough, then it's a good opportunity, definitely.
That's it. And finally, moving on to the ladies' game as well. Savannah McCarthy has joined Shamrock Rovers, League of Ireland's women's Premier Division squad for the upcoming season. A good addition as well, and who knows where that'll take her.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, Shamrock Rovers have really gotten stuck in. She's obviously a Republic of Ireland defender, which is huge. They're putting big money towards this. I know the manager of the ladies team, Collie O'Neill, he said that, look, they're getting all the resources that the men's team are getting. So that'll tell you, how seriously they're taking this, and the fact they've gone out and basically got a trophy signing. And I think that's the only thing you can call this, a trophy signing like Savannah McCarthy, shows just how seriously they're taking this project.
That's it, and it's going to be very interesting to see the winner, the ladies' league as well. And as we do every week during the season, we cover the women's league and the men's league, and it's very interesting as the season goes on to see how the teams are getting on week. And of course, we're both looking forward to covering the results and the results and fixtures in the season once the season starts. So something we're both very looking forward to covering, as well as how Athlone Town are obviously doing at underage level and with their academy and things like that. So listen, thanks very much, Robbie, for taking the time out to do League of Ireland chat with us, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
Sound job. Thanks a million.
No problem. Thanks very much. And that's Robbie Mulvey from Athlone Community Radio doing League of Ireland chat.